Well, if you look at U.S. Relations with Bangladesh over the years, certainly over the past 30 plus years in which I've been following U.S. Bangladesh relations, I think the overall goals, U.S. policy objectives have remained remarkably consistent. We seek a prosperous, democratic Bangladesh that's developing, which is increasing and improving its ties with the United States and the rest of the world, and improving the lives of its citizens. There's been no change in this as far as I can tell, nor would I expect, regardless of the result of the upcoming US election, that the US policy objective in Bangladesh will change. What has changed over the years, from administration to administration, and sometimes, as we've seen recently, even within an administration, is that the strategy and the tactics to achieve these goals have changed. And I can't explain to you exactly how or why that happened, but I'll step back and give you my perspective on where perhaps the United States could adjust its strategy to better achieve its objectives. Over the past 15 years, since the Awami League returned to office following the 2009 elections, the U.S. has largely followed a policy of engagement. There have been times, including in recent years, when the U.S. applied sanctions, whether they be against the Rapid Action Battalion or against individuals undermining the democratic electoral process. So this is always a tool in the U.S. Quiver. I think, though, what the current situation calls for is a reevaluation of the bilateral relationship across the board. And what I've said in other forum is that we should apply a policy of selective disengagement. Some people say that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. We had high hopes in 2009 that a chastened Sheikh Hasina and the Awami League would pursue a democratic path leading to a brighter future for Bangladesh. Over the years, we've seen a steady decline towards authoritarianism in the country. We've tried a strategy of engagement during this time, and we've not achieved the objective that we've set out. Therefore, I think we need a new approach. I think the most recent events bring this into very stark contrast. There are already existing U.S. laws that prohibit U.S. assistance to security forces engaged in gross violations of human rights. Today, the United States continues to provide assistance to Bangladesh's police, its judiciary, and its military. In light of recent events, until there's a thorough, impartial, credible investigation into the events of these past 2 weeks, I see no reason for this U.S. assistance to Bangladesh's security forces to continue. So if I were in a position where I could help influence policy, the first thing I would do is I would announce that the U.S. was suspending all such assistance to Bangladesh's security forces. That could include sending home Bangladeshi officers in training courses in the United States. It would include cutting off existing training activities in Bangladesh. It would mean putting a halt to transfers of U.S. military and security equipment to the police and military. And a similar analysis, I think, should be done in other sectors. Obviously, some parts of our engagement with Bangladesh directly benefit the poorest of the poor. These programs should continue. Often they don't go through government channels. They support the non-governmental organizations which have done so much great work in Bangladesh over the years. However, other parts of our engagement directly benefit the ruling party and the regime. And I don't see in the current situation why these should continue absent a commitment from the government of Bangladesh to change course. So this includes not only U.S. bilateral actions, but also the U.S. using its voice and its vote in international organizations, whether it be the UN and other specialized agencies, or the international financial institutions, the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. The U.S. has significant leverage. Going a step further, trade policy with Bangladesh has been something which, again, in the past has been subject to restrictions and sanctions based on worker rights concerns that we've had. I think this is something else that should be on the table. The U.S. should look at all of the tools at its disposal to influence actions by the government of Bangladesh. At the end of the day, the Bangladesh government can do what it wants, but there's no reason why you and I and the U.S. taxpayers should continue to subsidize a regime that flagrantly violates the human rights of its citizens.